And here we are. Good morning, everybody. It's time for Living Low Sodium with Mary Schepp, brought to you today by her very own My LoSo Lifestyle, mylosoliFestyle.com. Where you're going to go find recipes, you're going to find out all about. That was a harder phrase to say than I thought it would be. Living low sodium, and to find out, what happens when you got no salt. Right. Now what? And today, what are you craving? And I was just telling Mary in the green room that it's been cotton candy for me.
And we had a surprising revelation that if you're craving something sweet and you decide to have a soda or a pop or whatever your side of the fence wants to call it, because, Southern versus Northern, everybody calls cans of pop something different.
Yeah.
The cotton candy is a better option.
Yeah, as it turns out.
An actual stick of cotton candy. Now, we'd have to look at the nutritional specs on the tub that you get, because that's probably 2 servings, and I'm guessing you eat the whole thing, but...
It's actually based on what they said it was. A serving size is a stick, which is usually about 1 ounce. That big giant ball of fluff,
because it's a lot of air.
That's about the same size as what's in that tub. It's condensed down from a big ball of fluff, but it's about one. I think it's actually 1.5 ounces in the tub,
and which is still better than having a can of pop.
Yeah.
A regular old 12-ounce can of pop is about twice the amount of sugar than cotton candy. So that's the thing. What are you craving? What do you crave? Do you, chocolate, potato chip, cheese? I'm still sharing my thing out here because that's what I do. But that, French fries, we all have these cravings. Now, the reason that this came up today is because my feed lately has been filled with these things telling me that if you are craving something, it means you're nutritionally void in something else. So you get these infographics, and if you search up cravings, you get a ton of pictures or these things all over Facebook that are from all of these blogs. And I know that I beat on blogs, and I have a blog. But I am a proponent of do your research. Don't trust what I say. You know how many times that I get messages from people and I love it? They correct me. You meant to say this, or you meant to say that, or this is actually studied by this, and this is the way it is. And I love that because it expands my knowledge, and it allows me to help people better. In that same feedback, my crew of followers are my proofreaders. I posted a couple recipes on my website the other day. Now get this. So I posted those oatmeal cookies that I made.
Yeah.
Because I am super proud of that recipe. It turned out really, really good. It's the best oatmeal cookie I've ever made. And they're so simple. So I post the recipe. They're oatmeal cookies. I forgot to put how much oats to put in the oatmeal cookies. So I posted an oatmeal cookie recipe without oatmeal listed in the recipe.
Oatmeal cookie.
This is why I don't, this is why I'm so delayed in posting my recipes, because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of thought process. It takes time for them to be listed properly, the nutritional specs, all of these things. So, but my crew of followers are awesome because they send me these messages, and it's not to be an asshole. It's simply to say, hey, guess what? They're oatmeal cookies, and I don't see oats listed anywhere on there, which to me is absolutely hilarious. But so when it comes to cravings, there's virtually zero scientific or medical research to show that when you are craving something, that you need something else. I'm sure you've seen it before. If you're craving chocolate, you need magnesium. If you crave breads, you must need nitrogen.
Yeah.
There was one that I found that said if you're craving potato chips, you need chloride. It didn't say sodium or salt, which salt, if you've watched my show, is sodium chloride. I thought that was hilarious because usually the one that people propose is that if you're craving potato chips or something like that, you want salt.
Yeah.
We are so far removed from the instinctual need for nutrients. like a bird or an animal that goes to a specific lake because the edge of the lake, because of the salt water or brininess, they chew on that.
Like where the pink flamingos go, because correct. That's what turns them pink.
They need the what is it, like not creatine. There's something in the shrimp themselves. Yeah. So if they're devoid of that in their diet, they don't turn pink. Doesn't mean they're not healthy. They just don't turn pink. So it's we get enough in our diet, predominantly for the most part, that we don't crave those things. The majority of our cravings are food and liquid. Anything outside of those cravings is emotional or learned behaviors. So emotional eatings, or if you're a smoker and you eat after you smoke, or if you wake up every morning and have a cup of coffee in my lovely little salty bitch coffee mug. Pete got picked on for calling me a salty bitch when it was my coffee mug.
Yeah, so it's good stuff, though.
It is. So,
no, I mean, I like the coffee.
Oh, why? I love coffee. As soon as I found out that I could have coffee with my liver disease, I mean, obviously you have to watch because caffeine is still a thing, and you got to be mindful of how much caffeine you have. But coffee is surprisingly good for you. So the vast majority of the time, your cravings are emotionally linked.
Is that okay? Because I did make it a little stronger than I usually do.
Because, you did. Remember mine?
Yeah, because yours freaking stands up makes the spoon stand up. Holy crap!
He can't drink my coffee. I like when I actually go to the store, like an actual place like Conscious Cup or Aroma or whatever, to get a coffee. Mm-hmm. I get a latte with an extra shot because it's just straight.
I did make it a little stronger for you this morning than I normally make.
It's perfect.
So.
It's absolutely perfect.
Good.
But it's funny because in researching my show today, I looked up food cravings. And go ahead and do it. I made Pete do it before the show just for the fun of it. Mm-hmm. I want you to literally search hunger types. We're going to have a lesson in research here. So do a Google search, Yahoo search, Bing search, whatever your favorite search engine is. Search it up. And you will get a ton of articles from mostly opinion websites. It doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong or it's not factual information. There are some that have a lot of factual information, and they're not literally flat out lying to you. But most of them are opinion articles, food magazines, food blogs, things of that nature. And they have 3 types, 6 types, 7 types, 8 types. So search hunger types. And they will tell you the 5 types of hunger cravings and the 5 types of hunger and how to combat them and how to this and how to that. And their opinion on how they're going to fix you and your mental issues that force you to emotionally eat in one famous article in, healthfood.com or whatever the heck it is. 0 of them are from scientific, medical, or educational institutions like Harvard EDU, Johns Hopkins, Mayo, PubMed, all of these different things. So when you're looking at this and you scroll page after page after page and you see things, you need to stop picking things that suit your ideals to support and justify your claims, because you giving yourself justifiable license that your type of emotional eating fits this bracket, and then you can take that lesson across all life platforms. And I don't need to go into that. I'm sure you can make the connection yourself. When you do research, and every single website on the first 10 pages of a search platform are opinionated articles, you might want to rethink how you're asking the questions, because it's not a hunger type. It's food relationships that you should be looking up, and emotional eating and therapeutic ways to work through your issues of why you're emotional eating. And that's a whole other thing. And that's why it's not that hunger types aren't a thing, or that they're not researched. It's that it's not that simple. You can't just say that I have a hunger craving because of this and it's fixed. Yeah. That's like wiping away, 40 years of sexual abuse because someone discovered that you had it and say, oh, well, get over it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way.
You don't just flip a switch and say, for 40 years, I've been eating chocolate because I had it in my head that it was because I needed magnesium. No.
No.
But you found something that justified your action, so you ran with it.
Yeah.
Chances are you're eating chocolate because of an emotional attachment, whether learned in adulthood or learned in childhood or whatever. It's a different thing. So I thought it was hilarious that of all times for me to have an educational moment for people to learn, to research, to pay attention to what they're researching, is something so simple as searching hunger types. And it's laughable. In the first page, we saw 8 types, 7 types, 3 types, 12 types, 6 types, and 4 types of hunger food. So...
yeah.
Which one
do you pick? What do you pick? I mean,
throw a dart at your computer?
Whatever. Oh, look, that's got a longer list. I want a long list. Oh, look, that's only 4. Okay, well, let's do 4.
So here's the funny thing is, psychologically, you won't even read the article. You will, in reading the headlines, you will skim through and choose the one that fits your ideal, implement it into your memory, or imprint it. Sorry, implement was the wrong word.
Well,
and keep it. And then all of a sudden that becomes part of your knowledge base when it's not actual knowledge.
Oh, it's just a thing you read.
Right.
A list item.
I read it. So did you know that I read there's 4 types of hunger types and, this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden that knowledge becomes somebody else's knowledge, and it perpetuates and it perpetuates and it's shared and shared and shared and shared, all the while you're giving yourself justifiable license for your excuse. And I've talked about justifiable license before, because when I first got diagnosed with liver disease, a lot of the things that I heard from other people with liver disease was that exact thing, a justifiable license. Well, I quit drinking so I can still smoke. Or I quit smoking so I can still eat salty foods. No. I mean, if you want to still be sick, then sure, go ahead. Give yourself that justifiable license to continue on the path and take the actions that you're taking. So it's not, we need to stop giving ourselves that justifiable license to support the unhealthy activities or actions or behaviors that we're doing if we truly want to be better at things, and not just eating, at all things. You need to be better at picking those and recognizing where you're getting knowledge from and whether or not you're choosing that knowledge simply because it fits what you want. Because nobody likes to be told that they're making bad decisions, or that they're fat, or that they're too skinny, or that they drink too much or smoke too much or eat too much. At our core, we know these things. It's what keeps us up at night. And it's probably why you're eating a big giant bowl of ice cream before bed, because you're unhappy with a decision or a choice that you made, or some other reason why you're doing these things. In actuality, the reason why you have cravings or you eat food is one of 2 reasons. You actually need sustenance and you're starving, so you genuinely need food, or it's an emotional or a learned behavior.
Yeah.
So I guess if you really want to, you can call it 2 types of food, or 2 types of cravings. Yeah. Food types, whatever you want.
And the people who actually hit it right, the way you are hitting this now, include if you go back and look at the people who created original. Well, this goes back to Thales, Heraclitus, Epicurus primarily. Talks about diet and food and how you eat. These are all old ancient Greek philosophers. Democritus, Parmenides, Plato not so much, Socrates not so much, but all of these, if you go back and look at what they offered up insofar as, excuse me, the philosophies of healthy living, it's natural foods. It's natural foods, natural spices, and this is way back then.
when people ask me what my trick is, Pam says the same thing you do. She says I'm fat. No need to tell me. But you're a wonderful person, Pam. I like you.
And so, I like, I've got a mirror. I know.
And that's the thing. We were talking about this before. It doesn't mean, and this is what's so funny about, it's not fat shaming. It's just not. It's not talked about because it's fat shaming. I get that. I get that children can be horrible people.
Yes, they can.
And I got picked on. Like, my childhood is not something I like to discuss on a regular basis. It's just not. And every once in a while, something comes out. And my husband's like, oh, that was dark. Well, yeah, you sparked a memory and it came out. Something stupid happened 3 days ago over the dinner table. And he's like, all right, well, that went somewhere I didn't expect it to. You were talking about swimming in a pool or doing whatever, and it brought up a horrible memory for me. I was beat up and picked on, and like, you can't even imagine. It doesn't mean that I, was locked in a dungeon somewhere. And I'm not talking like my parents abused me or something like that. I'm talking the bullying and the things that people talk about these days of fat shaming and all this stuff. It's true. It happens all the time. But if you help your kids and yourself work through those things to realize it's just somebody trying to get under your skin, because that's all it ever equates to.
Yeah.
That's it. Someone calls you fat or ugly or stupid or ignorant or whatever they want to call you. I want to call you a ginger because I think it's going to piss you off, and you're going to go,
yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
So okay. Next.
Right.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. Like, who gives a shit?
I grew up with the name Peter.
Right.
And a ginger. And kids, can be cruel.
Peter,
and how many times?
Dude, my last name was Kitchen, so the amount. Go fry an egg. Oh, huh? Like, what does that even mean?
But or people call it Carrot Top.
Right.
Yeah, no, the top of a carrot is green. Just if you're aware,
right?
I don't know if you know that, but so, and but I mean, kids suck,
right? And it's not fat shaming, and it's that's what stinks, is the fact that we've labeled it this so that we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is about the difference between, I was laughing about this morning as I'm writing my notes. So you talk about hunger types, and you're hungry because you need food, or you're hungry because you want something. Some of the best foods come from actual hunger, like a tomato sandwich. Tomato sandwiches weren't made by some culinary genius in Italy years ago. It was nutritionally void white bread with horribly unhealthy mayonnaise and huge chunks of tomato. Why? Because you were flat broke
and hungry,
and that is all you had.
And that's super freaking tasty, by the way,
right.
folks.
Oh my God. Put some spice on there, maybe a little pepper. It's amazing.
I actually got, I don't know if they had them out here long ago, back in the 80s. I got kicked out of a Fuddruckers. Fuddruckers was a place where you could get this great big giant, like, half-pound burger. They have them out this way?
I think there's one in the city.
Is there? Okay. Well, what they used to do, and I don't know if they even still exist or whatever, they used to actually, if you just wanted to buy the bun, you could, because they were toasted like these great big giant buns. So I would go through the line and I'd buy a bun. It was less than $1. Great big giant freaking, I want a half-pound bun.
Yeah.
All right. And just toast it. Yeah. Okay, go through the line. Then I would go over to the fixin' station and I would make the world's biggest freaking tomato sandwich with all the stuff on it. Go over, sit down. And I used to do this on the regular, like 2 or 3 times a week.
And then they got pissed because you got a $1 sandwich.
Because they got pissed off because I got a $1 sandwich. The manager came over and said, next time I see you in here, I'm kicking you out. We're not serving you. I'm like, well, I paid for this.
Charge me $2 for my vegetarian sandwich. I don't know what to tell you.
I actually said, well, call it something and I'll buy it because this is good.
But that's the thing is, when you talk about emotional eating versus being hungry. So when people, I'm hungry. No, you're not. You are not standing there. You're standing there staring at the refrigerator looking for something out of boredom because it's a behavior that you learned. Guaranteed you saw your parents do the same thing. Your parents stood in front of a refrigerator, and children imitate and learn those behaviors. If you were out in the wild somewhere, how do you think some animal learns that it can eat this plant and not that plant? It's because they saw its parent do the same thing. So if you as a parent get bored and grab a bag of potato chips and sit down and eat potato chips. So my niece has similar habits to my brother-in-law. Why? Because it's her dad. Now, my brother-in-law has a tendency, his habit is to take like a tomato and eat it like an apple. Cucumber, eat it like an apple. So growing up, that is what my niece saw. Is just your snack is, all right, there's a cucumber sitting on the counter. That looks like a good lunch. I'll eat that. He eats to live. He doesn't live to eat.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean he doesn't like things. He likes things. He likes pizza. He likes whatever. But same as my husband, it's very rare that you're going to get him to go into the, like I would, and have this extreme happiness over making some obscure meal for 15 hours because I enjoy food and I enjoy cooking and I enjoy mixing flavors. He literally eats to live. So subsequently, she's got some bad habits too, but she's, you know what I mean? She's got these better habits because those are learned behaviors. And like pickles and cheese, same thing. I like cheese. Yep. We always had those little gherkins, the little sweet pickles.
Oh, okay.
We always had sweet pickles in our fridge. I learned from my sister, you wrap cheese around a pickle because we didn't have any bread.
Huh.
And eat that. So a good old unhealthy slice of American cheese wrapped around a sweet pickle is my happy place.
Huh.
And it's tasty. They're little tiny pickles, fit perfectly in a piece of cheese.
I wonder if they do well with dill.
Amazingly with dill.
I'm not big on the sweet pickles, but
amazingly. So, but that's a learned behavior. And most of those behaviors came simply because it's not that we were starving in our house, but when you're hungry and you actually need food, you will eat whatever is quick and whatever is there.
Yeah.
So it may not be something you want.
True.
You know how many times I've had a can of like stewed tomatoes and green beans for dinner because that was what was in my cupboard? Because at some point in my 20s, I bought vegetables and put them in my cupboard thinking I should buy healthy food. Guess what was the last thing that didn't get eaten that was still in my cupboard when I was flat broke and had to wait 10 days to get a paycheck? So I lived on green beans and stewed tomatoes. And I discovered that if you spice it up with the little things and put some garlic in it, it was pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Now I like green beans and stewed tomatoes. So it's not hard to grasp the psychological component of food cravings and how we have become conditioned from childhood to want certain foods. So you take sweets. Most of us grew up learning that sweets were a treat. I got Don's Dairy Frost every time we won a softball game. So that was a happy memory for me, is an ice cream cone from our coach. And if we could afford it and had money of our own, we'd get the cheese curds or, a greasy butter burger. Those were learned behaviors because that's how it always is. From childhood, you are drilled in your head that these sweets are a treat and they're a dopamine kick. What do you start doing from the age of 1? You get a birthday laden with 16 pounds of frosting, with everybody singing around you, celebrating the fact that you get cake.
Yeah.
So before you even know what sugar is,
cake.
or you know what cake is, or you know what healthy eating is, you're 1 year old. You don't know shit. You know nothing. Everything about you is literally
oh my God,
happy
you
and
just
sad.
Sparked a memory for me. Go ahead.
Happy and sad. That's it. When you're that age, you live on learning things that are going to make you feel good and things that are making you feel bad. You don't touch hot things because they burn and they make you feel bad. And if you cry, mom's going to come running around the corner and she's going to pick you up and she's going to snuggle you and love you and hug you and cradle you and make you feel better. So you cry more. If you had parents that would let you cry, you learn that, okay, I'm not going to cry. But if I throw something at the wall and break a window, someone's going to come in here. I'm going to get attention. It's unhealthy attention, but it's attention.
Yeah.
My cat talks to my husband on a regular basis and will not shut up. Why? Because she has learned that if she talks, he will talk back. It doesn't matter that what he's saying is, what do you want? It matters that she's getting attention. So she doesn't shut up.
A cat like that. Tyler.
Right. So those, from a very young age, we learn these behaviors, and a lot of them around food are not the healthiest behaviors. It doesn't mean you're a bad parent before you beat yourself up. It's behaviors we've learned and we've passed on. Yes, Rachel says learned behaviors are very powerful. They are extremely powerful. Mm-hmm. The nice thing about learned behaviors is they can be unlearned. But that's assuming that you want to take the time to recognize that you have a learned behavior and that you want to change it. Because if you're going to find justifiable license to continue that learned behavior because you say, I learned to eat chocolate to make me feel better, and I'm going to tell myself it's because I need magnesium because I read it in Cosmopolitan. Sorry, you're going to forever eat chocolate because it's a learned behavior, and you're not going to find that root cause of why you're eating chocolate.
Chocolate to me is almost like, I love it. I do love chocolate. I really do.
Same.
Dark chocolate especially.
Same.
But it's always an afterthought. Like, oh yeah, chocolate.
Same. Well, I've learned now, and we'll talk about this in a second here, because of the reason why I'm choosing chocolate now, because the same thing, that wasn't a behavior in my house.
Yeah, not ours either.
It wasn't, I don't have memories of candies and chocolates and my mom sneaking off into a cupboard where she had her fat kid stash. I didn't have that. Either. And even my grandmother had a drawer full of candy in her dresser. Like the bottom drawer had these mason jars of candy, but it was like Werther's Original and Cinnamons. So they were hard candies. So even when we went to some other nuts, my friends were all going for Kit Kats and Snickers and whatever. And I was going to the big giant wall of the bulk candy that you could buy, the Cinnamons and whatever. Cause that's what in my memory was your treat was those Cinnamons. Cause other than that, it was ice cream. Cause every time we went somewhere, the treat was let's go to Baskin Robbins or Don's or Happy Jack's and get an ice cream cone.
And similarly to you, I grew up in the Kansas City area in Independence, and there was a Zarda ice, and that was before it was Zarda barbecue.
Sounds
it was
like
Zarda
from the sci-fi
Zarda, and it was a soda fountain. It was a soda jerk fountain left over from the 50s or whatever.
Root beer floats.
Root beer floats, and that was it was, we get to go to Zarda. It was not a barbecue. To me, it was extremely weird. Why on earth would you go to Zarda for barbecue? That's an ice cream place.
Right.
So when they changed up like that somewhere in the 80s or 90s, that was weird. But yeah.
So, I mean, similarly, when you look at other snacks, salty treats, potato chips, there's a host of weird snacks that if you think about it, they're learned behaviors that you've seen from someone else from a time that either it's purely learned. So if you see it enough times, whether it makes you happy or it's just a plain old, it's just a memory because it's there because you've seen it happen. You have a memory of people driving Jeeps because you see Jeeps everywhere. It doesn't mean it invokes some happy memory that you have to have that. No. It's so some of them are purely just because it's something that you've seen and you've been exposed to. So you feel that in your brain, that's that muscle memory of you. That's what you do. You're bored. You open the fridge and you grab something to eat. But that habit of, like with me going to Don's Dairy Frost, from a very early age, you learn. You don't even learn it. It just happens chemically. It's a dopamine drip.
Yeah.
So if in your mind that happy memory is something good happened, mom reaches into a cookie jar and gives you 2 Chips Ahoy cookies, that's going to instill that memory in you. So whether it's birthday cake or ice cream with Don's Dairy Frost or, any one of those things, it doesn't matter what it is. If your happy memory is getting to go for a walk around a park with your parent as a child and spend time with them, that'll give you the same dopamine kick. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The act of actually, the happiness is what gives you that drip. So we have that. So we learn, unfortunately, from a very, very early age that sugar will give you a dopamine drip. Naturally in your body, because of that birthday cake, that ice cream, that whatever, that happiness, especially if you have a whole host of unhappy moments in your life, it's easier to try and seek out those sugar happiness moments to cover up the rest and not deal with it. It's very, very easy, which is why so many people have so many issues and horrible food relationships, because you're seeking those happy moments versus dealing with the ones that might be emotionally traumatic, regardless of how big or little your emotional trauma is. Because emotional trauma is emotional trauma. I don't care if it's stubbing your toe or being horribly assaulted. Everything is relative to you.
Oh, it's traumatic. I mean, you don't want to. Most people just don't want to relive that,
right?
Which is why you really don't deal with those things, and then you cope. You learn to cope. You develop these coping mechanisms or self-medication mechanisms or what have you, and
it's true.
I was actually a rather thin fellow all the way up until I met my wife, Mary Catherine, who can cook.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered how wonderful food actually really can be.
Right.
I'm like, ooh.
Exactly.
You mean everything almost tastes like Twinkies?
I know, right?
But, yeah.
Like me, who knew asparagus could taste good? All my life, it was mushy garbage that poured out of a can.
Yeah.
And as an adult, was like, wow, if you actually make this properly, it's
not bad. Yeah.
Right?
Both of us. Not bad.
Right. So now I've learned to like that. And
I still can't do Brussels sprouts.
And that's one of those things where it's Brussels sprouts and cabbage a lot of times is very much like cilantro.
Yeah.
This is a fact that your palate is different. There's different types of palates. And if you want, search it up on Mythbusters, because they actually tested it. They turned a bunch of food into mush. So texturally, it was the same. Everything was like baby food. And
hey, Jen.
So that if they fed 2 people baby food broccoli, one person blindfolded, nose covered, nose pinched, like you can't smell it, all you can do is taste it, and 2 people standing next to each other eating the same thing blindfolded with their nose plugged, one says, oh, that's kind of sweet, and one's like, oh, it's horribly bitter. I think broccoli's a little bitter, but I also like coffee and scotch.
Yeah.
So I have a bitter I like that. I like those flavors.
And I don't mind. I can deal with the broccoli.
Right. It's one of those things where your palate will determine. So if you've exposed a child to something more than 20 times, not just made them eat it. I mean, they've seen you eat it. They've seen other people eat it. You've made them try it a couple times and they still flat out don't like it. Their palate might not like those kinds of foods, or they might have an allergy to it. Because you don't really crave things for nutritional needs, but your body will reject things naturally that you have an allergy to. It's why dogs turn their nose up at certain things, because a lot of times instinctually they know it's bad for them. And sometimes it's the reverse. Like you might hate broccoli or Brussels sprouts or peas because your parents made you eat them. So you might not like that. Not because you don't like the flavor, you don't like the taste. It's simply because of the fact that you were forced to sit at a table until you finished it.
And see, my mom is amazed that I don't like she had no idea that I loathe bananas, cannot stand them, that I will not eat Brussels sprouts, that I cannot stand liver and onions. These are all things we were fed as kids, but I knew that we were P-O. We couldn't afford the other O and the R. And that if I did not eat what was in front of me, I was not going to eat. It was just, and I knew that. So I didn't complain. I just ate it.
Right.
And she's like, oh my God, I would not have given you that if I didn't know. And I'm like, well, what good would it be? You wouldn't have had anything else to give me.
Right. That wouldn't have mattered.
This is the woman who invented hot dog casserole. And we were thrilled when it was hot dog casserole night because it was actually something we felt was edible and good. My brother to this day will occasionally make it. I haven't had it since I was a kid.
I would. It's like, and it's the same. So my sisters, it's hit or miss with, whether or not they like bologna.
Pamela says, I hate peas because my brother would squish them and say they were Martian brains. Lols.
Having siblings is a fabulous thing. It really, really is. They can torment you. Speaking as being the youngest of two adult sisters.
You're the youngest?
I am the youngest.
I didn't know you were the youngest.
I have some trauma associated
I'm the
with
oldest in my family.
Yeah.
So is Mary Catherine, my wife.
Yeah, it's you're like an experiment when you have sisters that are older than you. But it's a lot of times, my sisters have mixed feelings about bologna because of the fact
that hit me really weird. Because you said it so seriously. And I'm thinking, okay, here's two ladies in my brain who are staring at bologna. I've got really mixed feelings about this. I'm sorry. God. That was funny. Whew. That made me laugh. Mixed feelings about bologna.
It was inexpensive. So, the cheap, nutritionally void, super white Wonder Bread bologna sandwiches were the norm in our house. So I'm sure because they're 6 and 8 years older than me, I'm sure that their memory is more of this is what we have, this is your option, this is what you get. My memory was, learning I was allowed to use the stove. It wasn't some random, fabulous cooking mess memory because my mom's a culinary chef or my dad's a culinary chef. It wasn't that. It was purely that I was this big and I was allowed to touch the stove with a parental unit that you're normally not supposed to go near because it's going to burn you or burn the house down.
Yeah.
To cut a little slice in the bologna and do something. So it was a happy memory for me. So fried bologna sandwiches to me are tasty. That being said, I was also allowed to steal bits of raw meat from the tub before my mom mixed eggs in. Now, the eggs are not safe to eat raw.
Okay.
So I was allowed to steal chunks of the raw meat before she put eggs in it.
So you're sitting there over there eating blood red meat.
Yes.
Bloodied meat. Ground beef.
Yes.
But not the eggs.
Correct. As soon as she added the eggs in it to make meatloaf, I wasn't allowed to eat it because it was, So my mother makes some weird decisions. And
don't people drink raw eggs?
They do.
It's gross.
It's just salmonella. It's just salmonella. But I'm full of these things
just
today.
A little salmonella. How'd you like a little salmonella with your bologna today? I have mixed feelings about that. Holy crap.
You would think that we were drunk in the studio. What the hell did you put in this coffee this
morning? Not a damn
week?
thing. It's actually just Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Oh, man.
So, a little heavier than usual.
That's the thing is those memories. And some of them you just simply can't control. You can't. Making your kids sit down at the table until they finish eating their food is going to create an unhealthy relationship with food, and you just shouldn't do it. There's my statement. Take it for what you want. I don't care. But some of these things, like you said, with bananas and whatever, or bologna with my sisters and versus me, some of these memories and some of these emotional attachments and these learned behaviors, you can't avoid. You just can't. Nobody's perfect. And no matter what you do, you're going to screw something up with your kids. It's just the way it is. It's the nature of parenting. Eventually, your kid has to grow up and learn a couple things and make some freaking mistakes on their own.
Yeah.
And make their own assumption and learn their own path.
Jen says, you're so nonchalant with that salmonella.
It happens.
We do a little casual salmonella now and then. So.
We dip it in our coffee. Instead of cream, it's salmonella coffee.
Keeps you on your toes.
Whew, maybe that's what we have here. We got a little salmonella poisoning.
I doubt it.
But all of those learned behaviors can be unlearned once you start to recognize them.
Yeah.
And that's the joy of being an adult, is you can choose to continue on an unhealthy path, which, keep in mind, is not only unhealthy for you, it's unhealthy for the people around you. It's unhealthy for your spouse. It's unhealthy for your kids. It's unhealthy for your friends. And it just is. And 90% of the time, when you're talking about a lot of these unhealthy behaviors and you're sitting here crying, woe is me, that I can't do this and I can't do that. And that's too much energy and I'm not going to be able to do that. And I don't have the strength to do that. Or I can't walk 10 miles. I can't do this. I can't do that. Or woe is me, my life sucks because I'm fat and I can't find any clothes, or I'm unhealthy, or now I have to go to the doctor again. The vast majority of the things that are influencing our life for the negative, we have the ability to affect. And we have the ability to change them. We just choose not to. Yep. And it's sad, but it's the fact. It's from anything from food to relationships to whatever it is. And it's so often that you hear people say that, well, I can't get rid of that person in my life because we've been friends for 20 years. I can't not talk to this person because it's my brother. I can't not handle this person because it's my aunt. Sure you can. Like the social acceptance is that you have to be there for your friends and your family and your whatever. Your ultimate responsibility is to your own health, mental, physical, and otherwise.
Yeah.
So it might be difficult, but there's a lot of things in life that are difficult. So if you truly want to be better, you just need to recognize what you need to do to make it better. And surprisingly, it's usually a very simple solution. Like with me, people ask, how do you do what you do? I eat real food. And then everybody goes, well, it's got to be more complicated. Well, of course it's more complicated than that. But down to its simplest core, I eat real food. That's it. There's no Atkins diet behind it. There's no whatever. If you wanted to call my diet a diet, the closest thing you would get is probably the Mediterranean diet. And the reason why a lot of doctors prescribe that or suggest that diet is not because they want to give you a diet. It's because you need something to attach it to emotionally.
Yeah.
You need to be able to say, the Mediterranean diet worked for me, so I can tell my other friends that this is what worked. When in actuality, all you did was have the strength to eat real food.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the big, huge, giant thing. So it doesn't mean that changing your cravings or changing your food habits or changing lifestyle is easy.
No.
It's hard, but it is definitely possible. And once you start doing it, it's not as hard as you think it is. So my tip is always, don't fight the cravings. Don't stop eating what you want to eat. Don't stop looking for the Twinkies, the Ho-Hos, the ice cream, or the treat. But when you start educating yourself, like Pete this morning, I said, so look up the nutritional information. Your knee-jerk reaction is, I don't want to look up the nutritional information because I know cotton candy is bad for me.
I was certain. I mean, hey, it's cotton candy. All it is spun sugar. That's literally all it is.
Right.
Some people put in a little flavor additive, a little color,
whatever.
Whatever. It's just sugar.
Right.
But there is less sugar in an ounce, which is a huge amount of cotton candy, by the way, folks.
You get to sit there and pick at it for a half an hour.
An ounce of cotton candy is a giant fluff ball. Yeah, exactly. You pick at it for half an hour.
You feel like you got something.
And there was only 17 grams of sugar.
Right. 100. So when people talk about, let's equate this, before we equate it to soda, let's equate it to, Weight Watchers. Huge company. And I'm not saying that Weight Watchers doesn't work. Before somebody sends me 1,000 emails that Weight Watchers worked for them, it does. It's a plan. It's strategic. It's set out. It's good. But most things always, I'm sure if you count calories, you see everything that says 100 or 110 calorie snack or less.
Yeah.
A 110 calorie snack or less, it's a little high on the sugars, is a bowl of cotton candy.
Yeah.
It was 110 calories. It's 17 grams of sugar.
Yeah. That's it.
Right. So now here's the thing is now you have a learned behavior that just made you happy about eating a bowl of cotton candy because it's better than you picking up a can of pop at the end of a night.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you need to stop the cravings or stop having what you want to have. It just means you need to find a better option. So if you educate yourself, and that's the reason why people don't look at labels and they don't read the nutritional information. They don't want to know because they automatically assume.
Yeah, I automatically assume.
Right.
I'm just sitting here
cotton candy is going to be bad. It's just, I know it's sugar. I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
Does it mean that you can have cotton candy 16 times a day?
No.
But it doesn't mean that you have to fight that craving and never have it again. It's just purely you need to pick better options and say, okay, instead of I thought I was trying to think of a few this morning, like ice cream. And I was laughing because I thought of you in every single one of these, because if you Google search like a better option to ice cream or a better option to this, so many of them come up as avocado something or other or banana something or other. I'm like, dude, Pete, I can't list any of these because Pete's going to cancel my show in 30 seconds because he's like, you need to stop talking about bananas and avocados. But it's true. I mean, for those, it is popular foods. You can make banana smoothies, avocado smoothies, or just flat out a full fruit smoothie. A bunch of fruit, mango, watermelon, pineapple, whatever the heck you feel like having. Instead of ice cream, you still get that the sweet, sensation, like you're getting a treat.
Yeah.
Same with like the salty potato chips. Instead of a big old bag of Doritos, there's potato chips that are healthier options. Mm-hmm. They're still fried and still whatever.
Ooh, dried apple chips. I see you have noted here. I actually like those. I forgot about those. I forgot about dried apple chips.
You know what they're really good with? And it's a person who's not a huge fan of hot stuff. Dip them in spicy sauce.
Really?
Because it's like a sweet and spicy. Huh. So you get a big old bag of just plain apple chips, not the sweetened. Not the apples are sweet enough on their own. And people don't realize, like the apricots.
Well, apples are quite sweet.
Right.
Even so you can get a big giant bag
dip. Of the dried apricots that look like prunes.
Yeah.
So it's almost impossible to find ones that don't have sugar added. They're already sweet on their own. You don't need, now all of a sudden 1-2 of those things is like 70 milligrams or grams of sugar. Just get plain ones.
I've actually eaten some apples at home. Of course, we had caramel dip.
Yeah,
as well.
And that's...
But,
And that's the thing. Even with the apple chips, if you do apple chips and caramel dip, you eat way less of the caramel dip because you only need a little bit on that apple.
Yeah.
On the chip.
Yeah.
But the apple chips with a little Tabasco or Frank sauce or something like that, super tasty. Mixed nuts. So if you can get your hands on...
I love nuts.
I get them from Sam's Club. Big giant bucket, unsalted. It's cheap. I mean, it's if you're going to buy any kind of nut, it's cheap. It's hard to find seasoned ones that are not salted.
True.
So if I take that whole big bucket and dump it on a cookie sheet and throw some Dax spice on there and heat it up and then put it back in the bucket, now you have spiced, mixed cashews, peanuts, whatever.
Yeah.
Spicy popcorn, same thing.
Which is good.
Make a big giant batch, put it in gallon Ziploc baggies. Some spray butter, and which I know is fat, but it's still healthier than other things. I'm guessing she meant cinnamon on that.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, cinnamon covered. There's one of the Aroma coffee shop in Crystal Lake. They have spiced nuts. They do it with rosemary, and now theirs are salted, but it's rosemary and garlic. It's so tasty. But the spicy popcorn,
that's good.
Popcorn is $1 for a big, huge box of unpopped popcorn.
Yeah.
Put it in your microwave, put a plate on top, or put in a paper bag, whatever you want, however you want your microwave popcorn. And then as soon as it's hot, you spray it with some butter or just leave it plain. Make cinnamon popcorn, make spicy popcorn, make whatever popcorn, and just leave it in your pantry. And you have your own instead of the store-bought stuff. Pasta. You can substitute pasta with rice. it's not as high in protein, but usually if you're making pasta with a, like a spaghetti sauce or meat sauce or something like that, you get the protein from the meat side. But if you're vegetarian, you can add different things to add the protein. Substitute squash, or instead of having spaghetti or lasagna, put it in something.
Well, stuffed green peppers are wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
Stuffed green peppers, stuffed squash, stuffed poblanos, acorn squash, spaghetti squash. So instead of making your sauce and using it on pasta, put it inside a vegetable of some kind. If you like spicy, use spicy poblano peppers or something of that sort. Or like we said, green peppers, red peppers, all sorts of different things that you can utilize that with.
Mary Catherine actually made me gnocchi Alfredo last night, and it's just
potato gnocchi, so good.
Yeah, that's what I had. Potato gnocchi with there was nothing else in it. No meats, no pasta,
you don't need
no nothing.
Half the time.
It's just good.
Right.
Yeah.
And then soda. Ben and I stopped because we went through like 3 cases in 2 days back in like 2012 or something. Because I was going to the store and said, what are we missing? What do I need to get? And he had said, didn't I just buy a case like this morning? Like how do we go through? Holy crap.
A case is 24, man.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So we were like, holy, there's no way. And lo and behold, we were like, wow, crap. So we need to cut back on that. Still drink coffee, drink water. And if you take any kind of juice and mix it with soda water, sparkling water. So orange juice and soda water tastes like a mimosa.
Mm-hmm. I like cherry juice and cranberry juice.
Cranberry juice, cherry
juice,
grapefruit juice. You mix them all, make yourself a cocktail. And I'm speaking juice, not cocktail juice. Juice, like you spend $6 for a bottle, and it's concentrated, straight up, no additives, just juice, not the, ocean spray cran grape. Not to knock those, they're flavorful, but they're also loaded with a boatload of sugar, and it's not good for you. So it's not a healthier option.
Pam says flavored unsweetened sparkling water for me.
See, my problem with the flavored sparkling waters is they're good until they put coloring in them, because the coloring, anything that my liver has to filter is bad. That's not natural. And the coloring that they put in things, I don't care what anybody tells me or any scientific research that said that it's safe for you. If I drink something that's dyed red, blue, purple, or pink, or whatever else color, it messes me up for days and days and days. So I can eat a perfect diet and drink, and I did it. And it took me months to figure out what was causing flare-ups. And I discovered it was the blue raspberry flavored water that I was buying. 0 sodium, 0 sugar, 0 everything. It was literally water carbonated with dyes in it. And it screwed me up. So, yes, I do. I have a couple brands that I get that are colorless, but we mix it usually with grapefruit juice or cran or cherry, the tart cherry juice.
The tart, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't really need the flavor because we flavor it with that, which means it's actually... See, flavored sparkling water to me is like popcorn. It smells amazing, but unless you put spicy stuff on it, it tastes like nothing.
Yeah.
So it smells like cranberry water or sugar water, or not sugar water, cucumber water or whatever. Yeah. It's like, oh, this is going to taste nice. And then you taste it and it tastes like nothing.
Oh, it tastes more watery than water.
So working towards... an improved relationship with food can have positive influences in all aspects of your life. For you, for instance, with you and your wife and you choosing to eat more vegetables, it doesn't mean you stopped eating the cotton candies and the whatevers. No, it just means you're introducing more things, which surprisingly has introduced more good memories because you have a fabulous wife that cooks good food for you.
Oh, yeah.
So you can turn those unhealthy relationships into good memories and good relationships, depending on how you choose to see them and what your perspective is. So now here, I can't help but research things, and I do my best to not include subjects I don't want to get off on a tangent with on my show. It is very difficult to talk about food cravings and not talk about obesity and statistics of the sort, because nobody wants to talk about it because it's fat shaming.
but it's not.
Right.
Here's the big.
It's not.
I think the only people, in my experience, I am a big fellow. I'm a large dude. I have a big tire, great big tire. I like a tractor trailer.
The rest
tire.
of you is not.
The rest of me is not. It just is. People talking about obesity and overweightness, and so it doesn't bother me a bit. I own several mirrors, folks. I take a shower every morning. I get out. I know what's looking back at me. I don't know many people who are in my situation or have what I have that this bothers.
Right.
I think it mostly bothers people who aren't my size.
Right.
Because they feel guilty. I don't know. I don't get it.
I think a lot of it comes down to appearances and, you feel fat. And my husband and I joke all the time. And I've had so many people like, oh my God, that's not seriously, your husband called you a fat ass? Yeah. Cause this is like my third, I ate dinner and then I had potato chips and then I had 2 cookies and then I ate a bowl of ice cream. So he's picking on me for being a fat ass. Cause I shouldn't, I ate all of that because I wanted to. I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing. It was it made me feel good. I felt like doing it. I was bored. We were watching a movie. I did it last night. We watched Rad from 1986. Great movie. Horrible acting, but it was still, it's a happy, feel good movie for us. We watched it. I ate it. I ate a bowl of ice cream while doing it. It was great. But I'm comfortable with my body, my skin, and how I look. And that's the thing, is people who worry about fat shaming and all of these things, they're unhappy with who they are. And that's they think they're fat, or they are fat and they don't want to do anything about it. And they want everybody to come around and go, oh, no, you're not. It's okay. We still love you. They still love you. If you want to be healthier, be healthier. So now let's add on the fact that people are working from home. People are living more sedentary lifestyles. There's more stress and there's more boredom. And everybody's heard of, that I got 15 COVID pounds. You don't have 15. We were just saying this. You don't have 15 of anything pounds.
You have, yeah.
You put food in your mouth and it stayed with you and you got fatter. It was your choice.
Yeah. you have 15 food pounds.
Right.
That's all it is.
It's always a justifiable something. It's
nothing else.
I have 15 baby pounds. I have 15 winter pounds. I have 15 I'm stressed pounds. I got fired pounds. My husband's an asshole pounds. I've got COVID pound, whatever. No. You put food in your mouth. You made a choice. You're trying to find a way to excuse it so that you can be bigger. So here's mental health, nutritional health, physical health, all of these things have always been important. They need to have more importance now that we're literally on a path to a more sedentary lifestyle. Facebook is rebranding as Meta to get more virtual reality. Social media is not going anywhere. This stupid pandemic is not going anywhere. More companies are realizing you can work from home. Sedentary lifestyles are not going anywhere. So here's some statistics for you. Obesity, you want to talk pandemics. Obesity has reached epidemic proportions, and it didn't happen overnight. Mm-mm. So 2.8 million people die each year globally as a result of overweight and obese related conditions. So if you want to think about comparing that to other statistics, you can do the research and say, if I said I'm going to start implementing healthy lifestyles for people to reduce this epidemic, the world would go mad. No. So we are left to our own devices to make ourselves healthier. And unfortunately, obesity, like many other things, is profitable.
Oh, sure.
So it's going to continue. So if we are left to our own devices, we're going to pick, the Doritos and the things of the world and the fast food. So we need to make healthy choices. And if you want to find healthy choices, you're only going to find them within yourself. You can always catch us here on Saturdays at 11 a.m. You can go to MyLoSoLifestyle.com. You can do 216thenet.com. Follow my show and all of the other shows that we have on our beautiful program. Please subscribe to our YouTube, 216thenet.com to, let's see, MyLoSoLifestyle.com. We have both Facebook and YouTube pages. More subscribers we have, the more luxuries we have. And we will see you next week. Saturday at 11 a.m.
Yeah, we surely will. So long, folks. Have a happy Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Woot, woot. I only hit my wife once this time. 40 million children under the age of 5.